Imagine this. At this very moment, you hold the power to transform your life's greatest challenges into your most profound victories. But how, you might ask? Today, we dive deep into the heart of Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has empowered people to thrive in adversity, to make better decisions, and to stay grounded when everything around them seems to fall apart and find serenity amidst chaos for centuries. From Marcus Aurelius facing war and plague, to Seneca navigating the politics of ancient Rome, to Epictetus who began as a slave, they prove that inner freedom doesn't depend on outer circumstances. Think about the last time you faced a situation that tested your patience or shook your confidence. How did you respond? Were you a prisoner to your immediate reactions, or did you choose a response that reflected your deeper values and convictions? That question is worth sitting with. The answer tells you something about where you are now and where you might go. Did you lash out? Did you shut down? Or did you take a breath, step back, and choose a response that you could be proud of later? This is where Stoicism shines. It guides us to respond to life's challenges with courage, wisdom, and equanimity. We're diving into a profound idea that could change how you handle stress, conflict, and disappointment. Not by avoiding those things, but by meeting them differently. One that has its roots in ancient wisdom, yet stays strikingly relevant in our modern world. The art of training your mind to respond, not react. This isn't just about controlling your temper or keeping your cool in tough moments. It's about building a deep, steady awareness that you can rely on, even when everything around you is chaotic. Awareness that doesn't disappear when you're stressed or tired. Awareness that lets you see clearly and act wisely. A grounding in the present moment that lets you navigate life's ups and downs with grace and intention. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers known for their practical approach to life, had a lot to say about this. They believed that while we might not have control over the events that happen to us, we do have control over how we interpret and respond to them. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's within our control, to step back from external circumstances, and to anchor ourselves in our own reason and choices. They didn't deny that life is hard. They simply said that our power lies in how we meet it. It invites us to pause, to reflect, and to choose a path that is reasoned and deliberate, rather than impulsive and reactive. So much of our stress, regret, and frustration comes from those knee-jerk reactions to what people say or do. We snap at a colleague. We send a message we wish we could take back. We make a choice in the heat of the moment that we regret for years. Sound familiar? Now imagine staying calm, centered, and thoughtful, even when the world around you is not. This isn't only about improving your peace of mind. It's about becoming a more effective, compassionate, and resilient person. Qualities that can transform not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. In this video, we'll explore strategies drawn from modern psychology and Stoic philosophy. How to cultivate mindfulness so you can stay anchored in the present. Why it matters to name and express your emotions in healthy ways. And how to keep the bigger picture in mind, so you don't get lost in the heat of the moment, a perspective the Stoics excelled at. By the end, you'll have a real toolkit to use in real time. When your boss sends a frustrating email, when your partner says something that stings, when life throws a curveball, you'll have something to reach for, to pause, assess, and respond thoughtfully to whatever life throws your way. We'll go through 6 key areas: the essence of responding versus reacting, the power of self-awareness, and the pause, reframing and focusing on what you can control, daily reflection, mindfulness, and practical steps you can use starting today. If this sounds like what you need, subscribe to Stoic Ocean and hit the bell. Drop a comment below on what you struggle with when it comes to reacting versus responding, and please watch all the way to the end. You won't want to miss the practical steps we lay out. Let's begin. Section 1. The essence of responding rather than reacting. What does it mean to respond instead of react? At the simplest level, reacting is automatic. Something happens and you respond without thinking. Your body and brain are built for that. It kept our ancestors alive. But in modern life, that same wiring often gets us into trouble. Responding is different. It means something happens, you notice the urge to react, and then you choose what to do next. That choice is the essence of Stoic freedom. Think of it like the difference between a reflex and a decision. When the doctor taps your knee, your leg moves. You don't choose, that's a reflex. When someone says something that upsets you, you might feel the same kind of automatic pull. But you're not a knee. You have a mind. You can notice the pull and then decide whether to follow it or not. That decision is responding. It's the difference between being pulled by every wave and learning to steady yourself. Between saying something you regret and saying what you mean. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. On the journey to understand responding over reacting, we step into a space where every thought and action can be deliberate. That's the heart of Stoic teaching. They didn't invent the idea that we can choose our response, but they refined it, wrote about it, and lived it in the midst of political turmoil, war, and personal loss. The Stoics, those wise figures of ancient Greece and Rome, held a view of life that fits our fast-paced, modern world surprisingly well. They taught the value of mastering your emotions and your reactions. They stressed that real power lies in our ability to choose our response to any situation. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote in his private journal that we have power over our minds, not over external events. And when we realize that, we find strength. Epictetus, born a slave, taught that it's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things. Change the judgment, and the disturbance fades. So why does it matter to build a habit of responding instead of knee-jerk reacting? Why can't we just go with our gut? Because our gut is often wrong when we're stressed, tired, or triggered. It's wired for survival, not for wise choices. Picture yourself in a tense meeting or facing a personal crisis. Maybe someone criticized you. Maybe a plan fell through. Maybe you felt disrespected or overlooked. Most of us default to reacting on instinct, driven by a sudden surge of emotion. That reaction, though it feels natural, often doesn't serve us in the long run. It can escalate conflicts, damage relationships, and lead to decisions we later regret. Maybe you said something you didn't mean to a family member. Maybe you sent an angry email you wish you could undo. Maybe you made a snap decision under pressure that cost you time, money, or trust. In each case, the pattern is the same. Reaction first, reflection too late. Here's where Stoic wisdom helps. The Stoics believed in living according to nature and reason. They stood for a life where every action is guided by virtue and rational thought. When we take that to heart, we learn to notice our first impulses, look at them with a clear mind, and then choose a path that fits our core values and long-term goals. Maybe your value is honesty. Maybe it's kindness. Maybe it's standing up for yourself without tearing others down. When you pause, you give yourself a chance to ask, does this response align with who I want to be? If yes, go ahead. If not, choose again. That doesn't mean we become cold or detached. The Stoics valued kindness, justice, and connection. They simply believed that our best version shows up when we act from reason and virtue, not from raw, unexamined impulse. Responding instead of reacting means taking a moment to pause when something triggers you. It means stepping back to notice not only what's happening outside, but also what's going on inside you. That brief pause gives you room to consider different outcomes and to pick one that is reasoned, balanced, and truly in your control. You might still feel the emotion. That's fine. You're not trying to become a robot. You're trying to become the person who decides what to do with the emotion. When you practice this Stoic approach, you're not stuffing down your emotions or pretending they don't exist. You're acknowledging them, understanding where they come from, and then deciding whether and how they should shape your actions. You're not pretending you don't feel anything. You're deciding which feelings get to drive. That approach helps you engage with the world in a way that keeps your inner peace and integrity intact, no matter what's going on outside. You might wonder, how do I actually do this when I'm in the moment? The answer is you start before the moment. You build the habit of pausing in small situations. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when your coffee is cold, when a notification pings. Each time you pause instead of snap, you're training, so when the big moment comes, you're ready. The value of responding over reacting goes beyond your own peace. It shapes the quality of your relationships, how effectively you lead, and how resilient you are when life gets hard. When you respond thoughtfully, you model something important. You show others that it's possible. You show respect, understanding, and empathy for other people's views and experiences. That builds more meaningful and constructive connections. People remember how you made them feel when things got hard. They remember whether you stayed calm or lost it. So the next time you feel the pull to react on impulse, remember, that small space between what happens and what you do is where your real power lives. Use it. The Stoics didn't promise an easy life. They promised that you could meet any life with clarity and courage. That promise still holds. Remember, the people who impress us most aren't the ones who never get upset. They're the ones who get upset and still choose how to act, who feel the wave of emotion and don't let it sweep them away. That's the bar, not perfection, not never feeling anything, but choice again and again. It won't happen overnight. You'll still slip into reaction sometimes. That's human. The goal isn't to never feel anger or hurt. It's to notice those feelings, honor them, and then choose whether to act from them or from your values. Your values might include honesty, courage, kindness, or justice. The Stoics called these virtues. They believed that a life lived in alignment with virtue was a life well lived. When you respond instead of react, you're aligning your actions with that deeper standard. That choice, repeated over time, is what builds a life of calm and impact. Leaders who respond instead of react inspire trust. Parents who do it model something precious for their children. Partners who do it build relationships that last. It's not that they never feel anger or hurt. It's that they don't let those feelings dictate their next move. They feel. They pause. They choose. That's the essence of what we're exploring today. So as we move through each section, keep that in mind. You're not learning to become someone else. You're learning to access the version of yourself that's already there. The one that can pause, that can choose, that can respond with wisdom instead of reacting from fear. That version is in you already. This video is just helping you find it. Everything we cover from here builds on that. The pause, the reframe, the reflection, the mindfulness. They're all ways to create that little space between what happens and what you do. And in that space, your character is formed. That's why this practice matters. Section 2. Self-awareness and the power of the pause. Before we can respond instead of react, we need to see what's actually going on inside us. That's self-awareness. Training your mind to respond rather than react takes more than good intentions. It takes deliberate, sustained effort. That's exactly the kind of practice the Stoics stood for. These ancient thinkers offer timeless insights that can ground our modern approach to building a responsive mind. They didn't have smartphones or social media, but they knew all about emotional triggers, stress, and the cost of losing your cool. They wrote about it, reflected on it, and built practices around it. First comes the power of self-awareness. Self-awareness is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics stressed the importance of looking inward and understanding your own thoughts and motivations. In our context, that means getting really clear about your mental and emotional state. What are you really feeling? Why might that be? What do you need in this moment? When you're aware of your thoughts and feelings, when you notice what's rising in you, you're better equipped to work with them instead of being swept away by them. That sharper self-awareness helps you notice when an emotional reaction is starting to build. And that noticing is the crucial first step in choosing a different, more reasoned response. Without self-awareness, we're on autopilot. We don't know why we got angry or why we shut down. We just do. With it, we can spot the trigger, name the emotion, and decide what to do next. Next comes the practice of pausing. Without the pause, you're at the mercy of whatever triggered you. With it, you have a fighting chance to choose. It's simple, but it changes everything. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often spoke about the space between stimulus and response. That space is where we have the power to choose how we act. He wrote those words in his private journal, not for publication. He was reminding himself, as much as anyone, that his power lay in that gap, not in the event, in his response. In that space, you're not your first impulse. You're the one who gets to choose what comes next. By building the habit of pausing, even for just a few seconds, we give ourselves a chance to step back from our immediate impulses. That pause might be a deep breath, a moment of reflection, or a short, quiet moment. It doesn't have to be long. Even 3 seconds can change the outcome. In that space, you can check in with your inner Stoic. Ask yourself, what does virtue ask of me in this moment? Not what would feel good, not what would win, what would be right. What would I be proud of later? What response aligns with my highest self? Would I regret saying this tomorrow? Would it help or would it make things worse? Those questions only work if you pause long enough to ask them. That's how the pause becomes a tool, not an empty delay. You're not freezing or avoiding. You're creating a tiny window where choice is possible. And that window is where your freedom actually lives. Try it the next time someone says something that bothers you. Before you answer, take one breath. Ask yourself what really matters here, then respond. Some days you'll forget. You'll react before you even notice. That's okay. The practice is to notice sooner next time, to extend the pause by a second. Then 2. You don't need to pause for a long time. A single breath can be enough. 1 inhale, 1 exhale. In that space, you're no longer on autopilot. You're present. You're choosing. Over time, the pause gets easier. What used to be a split-second reaction becomes a habit of stepping back. That's not suppression. That's skill. The Stoics had a name for this kind of mental discipline. They called it prososche, attention or mindfulness. It meant keeping watch over your own thoughts and impulses. Not to judge yourself harshly, but to see clearly so you could choose wisely. That's what we're building here. So the next time you feel your pulse quicken, or your jaw tighten, or the urge to fire back, remember, that's the signal. That's when you pause, not after. Not when it's too late. Right then. That moment is your point of power. Use it. Section 3. Reframing perspective and focusing on what you can control. This section is where theory meets daily life, where you learn to shift your perspective when things don't go your way. Stoicism doesn't ask us to pretend that life is easy. It asks us to see clearly and then act wisely. Reframing is one of the sharpest tools for that. It takes a situation that feels like a threat and asks, could I see this another way? Could this be a chance to learn, to grow, to show what I'm made of? Another powerful move is reframing how you see a situation. The Stoics used this to keep their balance when things got hard. It means consciously choosing to look at a situation from a different angle, one that softens its emotional charge, reduces the pull to react, and opens up other ways to engage with it. Ways that give you more agency, more peace. For example, instead of seeing a tough situation at work as a threat, you might reframe it as a chance to grow and show resilience. When you change the story you tell yourself, your emotions shift and new options for action appear. The same event can be a disaster or a lesson, a punishment or a test. The event doesn't change, your interpretation does. And when your interpretation shifts, your emotional world shifts with it. That's why reframing isn't positive thinking in a naive way. It's strategic. You're choosing the story that serves you and the situation best. Reframing isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about asking, is there another way to see this? One that gives me more agency, more peace, or more clarity? Often there is. You can apply reframing to almost anything. A traffic jam becomes time to breathe or listen. A criticism becomes feedback you can learn from. A setback becomes a chance to adapt. The Stoics also strongly believed in focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. When you live by this idea, you learn to use your energy wisely. You respond actively to your own thoughts and actions while accepting external events as they unfold. This doesn't mean being passive or not caring. It means seeing clearly where your power actually lies. You have no power over the past. It's done. You have limited power over the future. It's not here yet. You have maximum power over this moment. Your attention, your interpretation, your response. That's where your power actually lies, and choosing to act there with intention and integrity. That doesn't mean you never speak up or push back. It means you choose when and how, instead of being driven by fear or anger. You put your effort where it can make a difference, and you stop draining yourself on what you can't change. You can't control the weather or the economy, or how others choose to act. You can control your interpretation, your effort, and your next move. That's the heart of Stoic practice. When you internalize this, you stop wasting energy on the rest. You save it for what actually matters. Every day you'll face things you wish were different. The weather, the news, other people's choices. You can spend your energy fighting those, or you can focus on what's yours, your attitude, your effort, your next step. When you reframe a setback as a test or a lesson, you stop being a victim of the situation. You become someone who uses it. Seneca wrote that difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. When we reframe a problem as a chance to grow, we're not being naive, we're being strategic. We're putting our energy where it can actually change something, our own capacity. Reflection also means looking at what you can control and what you can't. When you waste energy on things outside your control, you have less left for what matters. When you focus on your judgments, your efforts, and your actions, you use your power where it counts. So when something goes wrong today, ask yourself, what part of this can I actually influence? Put your attention there. Let the rest go. Not because you don't care, because you're wise enough to know where your power really is. When you catch yourself worrying about someone else's opinion or a situation you can't change, pause. Redirect your attention to your breath, to your next step, to the one thing you can do right now. That redirection is a skill. And like any skill, it grows with practice. So when you catch yourself spiraling about something you can't control, pause. Bring your mind back to this moment. What can you do right now? Even if it's just one small thing, that's where your power is. Section 4. Consistent reflection and daily self-examination. The Stoics didn't just talk about virtue. They checked in with themselves every single day. We can do the same. The practice of steady reflection and adjustment is key to training the mind. The Stoics did daily self-examination. They looked at their actions and their progress toward living with virtue. They asked, did I do my best? Did I act with integrity? Did I add to the world or take away? Seneca asked himself each evening whether he had lived that day with integrity. Marcus Aurelius reviewed his actions and his thoughts. We can do something similar. End your day by reflecting on how you responded to things. Celebrate the times you chose a thoughtful action. Even the small ones count. And learn from the times you fell back into reactive mode. What would you do differently next time? No shame. Just learning. This ongoing process of self-assessment and improvement builds a responsive mindset and cultivates the wisdom and balance Stoicism values. Little by little, day by day, you're building a different relationship with your own mind. One where you're not at the mercy of every passing impulse. One where you have a say. The goal isn't to be hard on yourself, it's to be honest, to see where you're succeeding and where you're still learning. Ask yourself each night, did I act with integrity today? Did I respond or did I react? No need for long answers, just honest reflection. By weaving these strategies into daily life, we honor the Stoics' legacy and give ourselves the chance to live with more purpose, calm, and effectiveness. You're not trying to become someone else. You're trying to show up more fully as yourself. Calmer, clearer, more in charge of your own responses. Through steady practice, we slowly transform our minds, guiding them toward responses that reflect our deepest values and aspirations. You don't need an hour a day, even 5 minutes at the end of the day to ask yourself, where did I respond well today? Where did I slip into reaction? That awareness alone starts to shift how you show up tomorrow. Over time, this daily check-in becomes a ritual. A few minutes before sleep, no devices, just you and your thoughts. What did I do well today? What would I do differently? No need for long answers. The act of asking is what matters. It keeps you accountable to yourself. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for awareness, the kind that lets you see your patterns, where you tend to react, where you already respond well. That awareness is the foundation for everything else. Section 5. Cultivating Mindfulness. The Stoics valued the present moment above all, not the past, not the future, this moment. Because that's the only place we can act. Mindfulness, at its core, is about building a deep awareness of the present moment. It's about watching your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judging them. That lets you see their nature and their pull more clearly. When we practice mindfulness, we align with the Stoic aim to live with awareness and intention. We anchor ourselves in the now, the only time we truly have the power to act. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. And the more you return to that truth, the more natural it becomes. You're not fighting your mind. You're training it. The past is already written. The future isn't here yet. All we have is now. The more you practice this, the more you notice when you've left the present. You're replaying a conversation, worrying about tomorrow. That noticing is the first step to coming back. The breath is always with you. You don't need any special equipment, any special place, just you and your attention and this moment. One practical way to build mindfulness is through focused attention. Breath meditation is a simple and powerful place to start. By simply watching your breath without changing it, noticing each inhale and each exhale, when your mind drifts, gently return. You train the ability to hold your attention and to bring it back when it wanders. This practice isn't just for relaxation. It's a training ground for the mind. It sharpens your ability to concentrate and stay present amid life's distractions and challenges. That ability transfers to everything else. When your mind wanders, which it will, gently bring it back. No scolding, no drama, just return to the breath. That act of returning is the practice. Start with just a few minutes. Even 60 seconds of watching your breath trains the mind to return to the present. Another key practice is mindful observation. You can bring it into any daily activity, whether you're eating, walking, or doing something routine. You can practice being fully there. Notice every part of the experience with curiosity and openness. You don't need to be in a meditation hall. You can do this at breakfast, while brushing your teeth, while waiting for the bus. Any moment can become a moment of practice. Eat one meal without your phone. Walk one block without planning your next task. It sounds small. It isn't. That not only enriches the moment, but also strengthens your ability to stay focused and responsive in different situations. Body scan meditation is another powerful mindfulness tool. It builds body awareness and presence. By slowly scanning through different parts of your body, you grow a deeper connection with your physical self. You also learn to notice and release stored tension and emotion. This echoes the Stoic focus on not letting bodily experiences overwhelm your rational mind. You might notice tension in your shoulders or jaw. That's often where stress hides. By noticing it, you can soften it. By ignoring it, it runs the show. Bringing mindfulness into your interactions with others can change your relationships and communication. When you're fully present, when you listen with care, and when you observe without quick judgment, you create deeper understanding and connection. That lines up with the Stoic value of empathy and the recognition that others too are rational beings facing their own challenges and experiences. When someone is upset, we often jump to fix it or defend ourselves. Mindfulness invites us to listen first, to hear what they're really saying, to be present before we respond. When we embrace these mindfulness practices, we walk a path the Stoics knew well, one that leads to greater clarity, tranquility, and effectiveness. As we build a mindful presence, we equip ourselves to meet life's inevitable challenges with grace, wisdom, and composure. That's the best of a Stoic-inspired life. You don't have to sit on a cushion for hours. You can practice mindfulness while you're washing dishes, walking to your car, or listening to a friend. The point is to be here, not lost in the past or the future. The Stoics knew that the only moment we ever have is this one. When we're fully in it, we respond better. So the next time you're in a conversation, notice if you're really there, or if you're already planning your reply, already judging, already somewhere else. Come back to the person in front of you, to the moment. That's mindfulness in action. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes your default. Not something you have to remember to do, something you just do, because you've trained the mind to come back to the present. So start where you are. One breath, one moment, one choice at a time. Mindfulness and Stoicism fit together because both ask the same question. Where is your attention right now? If it's lost in the past or the future, you're not fully here. And if you're not fully here, you can't respond well. You'll react from habit, from fear, from old stories. Presence is the precondition for choice. So take mindfulness off the cushion and into your day. One conversation at a time. One breath at a time. That's how Stoic awareness becomes a living practice. The Stoics didn't separate philosophy from daily life. For them, every conversation, every challenge, every moment of boredom or stress was a chance to practice. We can do the same. They turned every obstacle into practice, every irritation into a chance to strengthen their character. You can do the same. Turn the commute into practice, the meeting into practice, the difficult conversation into practice. When you're waiting in line, notice the urge to be impatient. When you're interrupted, notice the urge to snap. Just notice. That noticing is the beginning of choice. Section 6. Practical application. Implementing response over reaction in daily life. This is where everything comes together. The pause, the reframe, the reflection, the mindfulness. They're not separate tricks. They're one integrated practice, and the more you use them, the more they become second nature. The goal is to make response your default. That takes time. Be patient with yourself. If this video is helping you so far, subscribe and leave a quick comment below on which part you'll try first. It helps us know what matters most to you. Now let's turn to the practical side. Theory is powerful, but without practice, nothing changes. How do you build a life where responding thoughtfully beats reactive impulses? This isn't about crushing your natural reflexes. It's about enriching how you show up, in line with the Stoic ideal of living with deliberate intention and reason. Start with one habit. Maybe it's the morning intention. Maybe it's the evening reflection. Maybe it's simply pausing before you reply to a difficult message. One habit, 1 week, then build from there. None of this works if it stays in your head. The Stoics were men of action. They wrote, they reflected, but they also lived their philosophy in the real world. To live the ideas we've talked about, you need daily habits that support the art of responding. You might start small. One morning, set an intention. Today I will pause before I respond to criticism. Or, today I will take one breath before I answer when I feel triggered. That's enough to begin. The key is consistency, not perfection. Picture yourself in a hard situation. Maybe a disagreement at work or an unexpected setback. Maybe a friend said something that stung. Maybe you didn't get the outcome you wanted. The first impulse might be to react from emotion, from frustration or disappointment. That's exactly when your Stoic training kicks in. That's the moment you've been preparing for. Pause. Step back. Even if just for a few seconds, ask yourself, what would a Stoic philosopher do? That question isn't a call to hide your feelings. It's an invitation to bring in your rational mind, to look at the situation clearly, and to find a response that actually helps. Maybe the answer is to speak up. Maybe it's to stay silent. Maybe it's to ask a question instead of making a statement. The point is, you're choosing. We're not trying to erase emotions. We're channeling them. We notice our feelings. We understand what triggered them, and then we choose, with clarity and calm, the best next step that fits our values. Sometimes that means speaking. Sometimes it means staying silent. Sometimes it means asking for time to think. There's no one formula, just the question. What serves this situation and my values right now? That's how we choose the step that fits our values and our goals. Some days you'll do it well. Some days you won't. Both are part of the path. The aim is progress, not perfection. Some days you'll nail it. Some days you won't. Both count as practice, as long as you keep showing up. In concrete terms, that might mean taking a short walk to clear your head before you reply to a difficult email, or it might mean digging a little deeper into what's really bothering you in a conflict, looking for the real issue instead of reacting to the surface noise. Maybe you're not really angry at them. Maybe you're tired, or overwhelmed, or hurt by something else. When you pause to ask, you often find the real trigger, and that changes everything. Maybe the real issue isn't what they said. Maybe it's that you feel unheard, or disrespected, or tired. When you name that, you can address what actually matters. Every time you choose to respond rather than react, you strengthen a pattern of thoughtful engagement with life's challenges. You build resilience and a deeper sense of peace and satisfaction. Every time you choose response over reaction, you're not just solving one situation, you're strengthening a muscle. The muscle of pause, the muscle of choice, the muscle of showing up as the person you want to be. Weave this approach into your routine. Start the day with a moment to set your intention. What kind of person do you want to be today? How do you want to show up? Remind yourself that you're committed to responding thoughtfully in whatever comes. Keep a simple journal to reflect on your responses. What worked? What didn't? What will you try tomorrow? Celebrate your wins. Note where you want to grow. What went well? What will you do differently next time? And adopt a mindset of continuous learning. Each day gives you new chances to practice and to get better at response over reaction. You might keep a note on your phone or a reminder on your desk. One word, pause or respond. Whatever helps you remember. When you commit to this path, you're not just managing stress or conflict. You're choosing a way of life that reflects the Stoic pursuit of virtue and wisdom. You're building something that lasts. A character that doesn't crumble when life gets hard. You're living with intention, aligning your actions with your highest ideals. And in doing that, you contribute to a more reasoned, compassionate, and responsive world. We've covered a lot. 6 sections, dozens of ideas. But they all point to the same thing. That space between stimulus and response. The space you're learning to use. But they all point to one thing. The journey from reaction to response is a transformative one. It calls us toward a deeper engagement with ourselves and with the world. The Stoics walk this path with dedication, With their wisdom as a guide, we can learn to move through life's ups and downs with grace, equanimity, and reason. That doesn't mean we never feel pain. It means we don't let pain decide everything. It's a path that countless people have walked before us, and that countless people will walk after. We're not alone in this. We can face setbacks without falling apart. We can hear criticism without lashing out. We can make decisions from clarity instead of fear or anger. We can embody the spirit of Stoicism in our own time. The point of everything we've explored isn't just to manage reactions in isolation. It's to weave a responsive, thoughtful approach into the fabric of our lives. By living the principles of Stoicism, by putting them into practice daily, by focusing on what's in our control, by acting with reason, and by striving for virtue, we give ourselves the power to face life's challenges with greater calm and purpose. This Stoic-inspired path invites us to see every moment as a chance to practice our commitment to response over reaction. Whether we're dealing with small irritations, big setbacks, or major decisions, each situation is an opportunity, a chance to live the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom to see clearly, courage to act when it's hard, justice in how we treat others, temperance so we don't get carried away. When we consistently choose to respond thoughtfully, we don't only improve our own well-being, we also add something positive to the lives of those around us. Remember, the journey toward mastering response over reaction never really ends. It's a process of continual learning and growth. Like the Stoics, we need to embrace the discipline of self-reflection, to regularly check our progress and adjust our course when needed. Some weeks, you'll feel like you're making real progress. Other weeks, you'll slip again and again. Both are part of the path. There's no finish line, no moment when you've finally mastered it, and that's okay. The aim isn't perfection, it's progress, and progress is always possible. Every moment is a choice, a chance to embody the calm, the resilience, and the wisdom of Stoicism, not the kind that sits on a shelf, the kind that shows up when you're tired, stressed, or triggered. That's when it matters most. So as you leave this video, take one idea, just one. The pause, the reframe, the evening reflection, the morning intention. Pick one. Practice it this week. Notice what changes. Even one small shift matters. Notice what happens. You might pause once and react the next time. That's normal. The point is to keep showing up, to keep trying. In the tapestry of life, your responses are the threads of your character, woven with intention and purpose. That's the gift of this practice. Not just better reactions, a better life, one moment at a time. So take what you've learned. Start with one situation tomorrow. Maybe it's a conversation with a colleague. Maybe it's how you handle bad news. Maybe it's simply pausing before you send that message. One pause, one breath, one choice. That's how the journey begins. You don't need to change everything at once. Pick one moment tomorrow, one conversation, one email, one decision. Pause before you act. Ask what your best self would do. The version of you that's calm, that's clear, that doesn't regret their response an hour later. That version is available. You just have to pause long enough to find it. Then do that. The Stoics believe that philosophy is medicine for the soul. Not something you read once and forget. Something you take in, reflect on, and apply every day. You have everything you need. The Stoics didn't have apps or courses. They had their minds, their commitment, and each other. You have the same. That's enough. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Every time you choose to pause, every time you choose to respond instead of react, you're not just solving one moment, you're building a life. A life where you're in the driver's seat, where your values guide your actions, where you look back with less regret and more peace, one moment at a time. That's how lasting change is built. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Stoic Ocean and hit the like button. In the comments, tell us which tip you'll try first. or share a moment when you chose to respond instead of react. We read them all. Your stories and your questions help us all learn. Thank you for being here, for investing this time in your own growth, for choosing to train your mind. Wherever you are on this path, you're moving. That's what counts. Keep going. May your path ahead be filled with clarity, virtue, and peace. You've got this. We believe in you. Keep practicing, one day at a time. We're grateful you're here. Your attention and your commitment to growth matter more than you know. Until next time, take care of your mind. Nurture it. Train it. It's the only one you've got. Remember, the space between stimulus and response is where your freedom lives. Use it well. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Stoic Ocean. Until then, pause when you need to. Breathe when you need to. Choose with clear intention.